as a yes imitation as I get. Hello, everybody. It is March 29th, 2013. TikTok, happy Friday, everybody. Finally, it's Friday, right? Thanks for logging in. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening in, whether you're doing it through the old-fashioned radio waves or the newfangled internets. Thanks for checking us out. We are here Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 Central Time. Please make sure to check out the World Wide Web of the same name, fireyourmdnow.com. That's fireyourmdnow.com, where you can gain 7 days of free access. 7 days of free access. And what beats free to my online health recovery information? I've got live webinars. I've got archived information. I've got videos. We've got written stuff. We've got a ton of stuff, man. Check it out. To get your 7-day free subscription, visit fireyourmdnow.com and sign up for the free monthly newsletter. Once you sign up for the free monthly newsletter, you will be given instructions about how to secure 7 days of free access to my unbelievably effective, jam-packed educational archives and live webinars, live and archived health recovery information at fireyourmdnow.com. Now, the commander and I were talking about something yesterday which I don't want to overlook because it's really important and it's worth fleshing out again. James Watson, one of the guys who discovered the structure of DNA, right? Watson-Crick, right? Remember that? And back in high school, you're taught about Watson and Crick, how they discovered the structure of DNA as a double helix. Well, there's evidence to support the fact that they actually stole that notion, or that the first person that came up with the notion of the double helix was actually Linus Pauling. But that's another story. That's not why Watson is back in the news. The guy that discovered and proved and published the shape of DNA. I mean, you think this guy has a clue? Yes or no? I'm going to say yes. Think this guy has a clue about genetics? Yes or no? I'm going to say yes. Earned the Nobel Prize, right, for figuring out the structure of DNA. Reported to San Diego, I believe it was a San Diego newspaper, that sequencing genes is not proving to be particularly useful in fighting such diseases as cancer, and that much of the research being done on the subject is irrelevant. Watson, who's 84, visited the Salk Institute to give a public lecture on the roles that oxidants and antioxidants might play in cancer and diabetes. The Salk Institute is deeply involved in cancer research, and it has plans to spend millions of dollars on new genetic sequencing machines to better explore how mutant genes, oh no, it's the mutant gene, contribute to disease. But Watson is saying you could sequence 150,000 people with cancer and it's not going to cure anyone. It might give you a few leads, but it's not, to me, the solution. The solution is good chemistry, and that's what's lacking. We have a world of cancer biology trained to think genes. They don't think chemistry at all. And perhaps Watson is thinking about biochemistry, not pharmacokinetic chemistry vis-a-vis drugs. In any event, the point here is the guy that discovered the structure of DNA has gone public and said that sequencing genes, doing genetic research for cancer and chronic disease is a flippin' waste of time. Now, what have Dr. Wallach and I have been saying forever? Well, all right, not forever. For the last good number of years. Wallach's been saying it for 30 years. I've been saying it for 4. Wallach's been saying it for 30 years. I've been saying it for 4. Genetics is irrelevant. The reason that we have chronic disease and cancer is because of facultative breakdowns in the inherent biochemical nutrition of the human body, period. It's a nutritional thing. It's not a genetic thing. It's a nutritional thing. It's not a genetic thing. Now, here comes the discoverer of DNA to back us up. But was this on the ABC Evening News? No. Was this on the NBC Evening News? No. Was this on the CBS Evening News? No. It was reported in a tiny little paper in San Diego, for goodness sake, and that was the beginning and the end of it. Why is that? Because cancer research medicine in the United States is completely funded, monopolized, and directed by the pharmaceutical industry, and what they say goes. How they want to research it is the way that they want to research it. Medicine progresses one funeral at a time. So when you have thousands of people on the payroll doing millions of dollars of research, going down one particular line of thought vis-a-vis gene sequencing, and then you come along and tell them, oh, no, that's the wrong way to go, you think they're going to stop? No. Because medicine progresses one funeral at a time. And this is one of the most disturbing things, or, it's a reality-based thing about the way that the scientific community is in the world. Scientists are not open-minded. They're closed-minded and dogmatic, and they hold tightly onto their preconceived notions, even if their preconceived notions are wrong, especially when their preconceived notions are wrong. An old lie is more popular than a new truth, right? An old lie, an old falsehood is more popular than a new truth. And they've got us by the you-know-what. Because your medical doctor does not know what's best for you. Your medical doctor knows what they've been trained in. Your medical doctor dances to the tune played by the pharmaceutical industry. Research institutions around the country get money from the pharmaceutical industry. They also dance to that tune. The pharmaceutical industry and medical doctors practicing medicine in the free world today look at the world of science through a reductionistic allopathic lens. They do not look at the world of science. They look at the world of science through a reductionistic lens. They're studying old-fashioned, outdated Newtonian physics. Newtonian physics argues if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist. There is no room in Newtonian physics for the metaphysical. What do you mean, Dr. Glidden, metaphysical? What I mean is the human body has a God-given ability to fix itself. The human body has God-given intelligence. The human body knows how to fix itself. The human body wants to fix itself. You don't need to sequence genes. You don't need to play God. You don't need to try to outwit the biochemistry of the body. Guess what happens when you try to outwit the biochemistry of the body? You develop drugs that have monumental side effects. Monumental side effects, like Vioxx. Well, really, there was only one side effect to Vioxx: death. So when you try to play God, manipulate the biochemistry of the body, you're going to create multitudinous side effects, and the drug that you deliver to the body is not going to fix the problem. It's just going to manage the problem. And this is what we get used to culturally. And this is why I say all of the time, look, the best possible thing that you can do is fire your MD. And is it because I have an axe to grind with the MDs? Well, yeah, I do have a little bit of a professional axe to grind with the MDs. But that's not why I'm saying fire your MD. I'm saying fire your MD because just like Watson finally figures it out, the methodology that MDs bring to the table is the wrong methodology to figure out how to fix chronic disease. Their therapeutics don't work. I don't have anything against MDs besides the fact that their therapeutics don't work. Number one, and number two, they've told you that me and all of my colleagues are quacks for the last 100 years, and they have tried to put me and all of my colleagues in jail for the last 100 years. They have vilified, ostracized, indemnified me and my colleagues for the last 100 years to their benefit and our detriment. Now, I'm not the kind of a guy that turns the other cheek. I'm sorry, I'm not. But the point of the matter is, it's a free country. Everybody gets to do what they get to do, and, that's just life, so I'm going to suck it up and move on. But all of the professional nonsense aside, all of the regulatory nonsense aside, all of the legal falderall aside, MD-directed therapeutics do not work. They don't work. Right? They don't. While the MDs have been driving the bus, Alzheimer's is skyrocketing. Autism is skyrocketing. Cancer remains completely mysterious. Heart disease has leveled off. It's remained exactly the same, even though we're taking $20 to $25 billion of cholesterol-lowering statin drugs a year. You got to be kidding me. Arthritis rates going up and up and up. Everybody's getting arthritis. Obesity skyrocketing. While the MDs are driving the bus, they're in charge of your health care. And while they've been in charge of our health care, everything is getting worse. And their therapeutics are the biggest burden on the economy, both here and in Canada. They are strapping us, and they have convinced us to think that, chronic disease is this mysterious, complicated, sophisticated thing, and oh my God, we have to sequence the genes to figure it out. We have to develop the super-duper proton microscope, the quark microscope, the God particle microscope, the boson, Higgs boson microscope. That's what we need. Well, no, we don't. What we need is to fire our MDs and give research money and give clinical treatment money to another profession. That's the naturopaths. Why? Because we get results and they don't. If by some genie-in-the-bottle magic we all woke up tomorrow and there was an equal playing field of medicine, there were just as many naturopaths practicing in the world as there were MDs. There was just as much funding for naturopathic research as there was for drug research. If there was equal insurance coverage for naturopathic medicine and MD-directed medicine within 5 years, MD general practitioners and specialists would be out of a job, and they know it. The only thing they're good for is trauma and surgery. For everything else, they stink, and they stink really, really bad. And now the guy that discovered DNA comes along, jumps on our train, and says the same thing. What's it going to take, ladies and gentlemen, for you to snap out of it? I mean, for goodness sake, is, Hippocrates going to have to come back from the dead and say, fire your MD? Let's hope not. Fire your MD now, fire your MD tomorrow, fire your MD the day after tomorrow, and get on board with science-based, clinically verified medical nutrition. With me live like Renee from Michigan did. Hey, Renee, welcome back. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden. Yes, I talked to you the other day regarding my sister who is dealing with either depression or anxiety or something, and then possible thyroid problem. I've got a couple follow-up questions regarding the test that you recommended and then this medication, unfortunately, that the doctor put her on. Okay, the hemoglobin A1C, I'm not for sure if my sister has thalassemia, but the rest of us in our family do, and so from what I've read, it says that there might be, the results may not be accurate then if you have thalassemia. And so from what I understand, the fasting plasma glucose is a different test. So that was one question. I wondered what you thought about that one. And then I hope I have my brother-in-law convinced that she needs to go have the free T3 and free T4 test done. He supposedly is calling the doctor today because from what I understand, the test that they have her scheduled for is a thyroid uptake and scan, which from what I understand is like a radioactive iodine uptake test.
Yeah,
and,
it's nonsense.
Okay, that's what I thought. And then the other question is, the medication that they have her on is Ativan and also Celexa, and I wondered if, and both of them are, addictive, and as far as, you're supposed to wean yourself off of it, but if she's been on those less than a week, can she just, stop taking it?
All right, so number one, I can't give advice about drugs because I can't prescribe drugs in the state that you live in, okay?
Okay.
So I can't give you any advice about that, but I would consult a pharmacist, and I would say, look, if she decides of her own free will that she wants to come off of this stuff, then she should consult a pharmacist or a medical professional who is licensed to prescribe that stuff and say, hey, look, this is my height, this is my weight, this is how much I've been taking, this is how long I've been taking it, how do I come off of it safely and effectively, and they'll give her advice about that. I cannot do that.
Okay.
This is the very first time I've ever heard about any relationship between thalassemia and hemoglobin A1C. So I don't know about that, so I can't comment on that. I'm going to have to do some homework, and I could tell you Monday.
Okay.
But, first of all, she either has thalassemia or she doesn't. Does she have thalassemia?
That's the thing. I don't know, and she hasn't been to a doctor in years, and so she doesn't really know. But, I have it, and my other two sisters have it, and so that's why I'm kind of, and my dad had it, and so that's, you know, so when I read that about...
Yeah, is there anybody in the family who has type 2 diabetes?
Like my grandma. Yeah,
does she live near your sister?
She's no, but
because my thought is, if you could find somebody who has a blood sugar monitor, you could just borrow it for a day, and she could take her blood sugar 2-3 times in one day, and that would tell her whether or not her blood sugars are high. But, you know, notwithstanding the hemoglobin A1C is a better test, because the hemoglobin A1C, if it's not contraindicated or screwed up by some pre-existing condition, I've never heard about the relationship between that test and thalassemia, but I'll check it out. But if the hemoglobin A1C is performed in people that there are not confounding factors, it gives you a really good estimation of your total blood sugars for the last 90 days.
Right.
When you do the fasting blood sugar test, it just tells you what your blood sugar was that morning at that moment in time when the blood was drawn. So it's an inferior test. I would get the hemoglobin A1C done anyway. And, you know, for goodness sake, in the diagnostic arena, you always want to do something that causes the least amount of harm first, and that would be free T3 and free T4, not radioactive iodine, for goodness sake.
Right.
Tell the doctor, she should tell the doctor that she's willing to do the test if the doctor swallows the radioactive iodine too. Tell her that I'm okay to do this, but I want you to take the same stuff that I'm going to take and see what they say. All right?
That's great.
And then watch them scurry from the light like cockroaches. So I wish I could be of more help here. Honestly, that's the first time I've even heard about the thalassemia connection. I'm going to have to double-check that to see the extent to which it is. Because, you know, there can be confounding factors, but you really have to read between the fine print in order to know what's really going on here from a scientific point of view, and most medical professionals neglect to do that and overlook it. So I'll check it out over the weekend. Give me a call back on Monday, and have a really good Easterini. Thanks so much for everything that you do. Hey, it's Friday. We're going to go right to Utah, talk to Bill, who's calling in with a question about prostate cancer, I think. Hey, Bill, welcome aboard. You are live.
Hi, it's actually Jody Lynn. Bill had to walk away.
That's all right. Josie Lynn, thanks for calling. How can I help?
I have a friend who's thinking about getting on longevity products, and he said he wanted to talk to the doctor first. He has prostate cancer. He had radiation treatment in 2007. He's on lupin shots ever since then. Right now he's taken bicalutamide for a year. And he's told that this is the last treatment that's available for his cancer. He's also got restless leg syndrome, and he's on Requip for that. And then he's also got a thyroid problem, and he's on Synthyroid. He's an 81-year-old male. He weighs 180 pounds. And the only other thing he has from that is painful joints and hips.
Okay, so what does he want specific? I mean, you know, what does he need to hear from me to tell him that he should do this? Because, I mean, he is a big, strong candidate for everything that we do, notwithstanding the fact that we can't treat prostate cancer. So what specifically do you need from me?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
So what specifically do you need from me?
He wants to know, he said, I'll go on longevity if the doctor tells me exactly what I need to take.
Okay. So, all right. So how much does he weigh?
He weighs 180 pounds.
Okay. So as a 3-month trial, here's what I would do to support and promote the structure and function of his bones and joints and his immune system. And remember, it's against the law for anybody but a chemotherapist and oncologist to treat cancer. There ought to be a law that prohibits that, but there isn't. So we can't treat cancer. We can't treat arthritis. We don't treat heart disease. We don't treat high blood pressure. We don't treat a darn thing. What we do is a better thing. We provide holistic medical support for the systems of the body. And we provide the body with the raw materials that it needs. We get the heck out of the way by stopping the consumption of food that hurts the body, and we let the body go to work to try to fix itself, which most of the time it is successful in doing. So for 3 months, per month, what I would do if I were him is 2 healthy start packs, 1 bottle of Cal Toddy. That's 2 healthy start packs, 1 bottle of Cal Toddy, 3 bottles of, I would do 2 bottles of Glucogel at the 240 count, 2 bottles of Glucogel at the 240 count, and 1 bottle of the liquid Glucogel Plus, 1 bottle of the liquid Glucogel Plus, 4 bottles of selenium, and as much Z-Radical as he can possibly afford. If he can afford 8 bottles of Z-Radical a month, then that's what he does. If he can't do that, then 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. I want him to be doing at least 1 bottle of Z-Radical a month. Now, if he has pain, if there's arthritic pain anywhere in the body that he's dealing with, then he can get a bottle of the CM cream, 1 bottle of the CM cream, and he can apply it topically wherever he has arthritic pain to see if it knocks down the pain, because it's been clinically proven to knock down the pain of arthritis. Now, if that's effective, he can use the CM cream topically to manage his arthritic pain while he's waiting for the nutritional program to support and promote the structure and function of his bones and joints. So that's how I would handle it, for the first 3 months. And inside of 3 months, if he eliminates the 10 bad foods and follows that nutritional program, then he should experience specific and measurable, noticeable change. And, that's a good thing. Also, he should ask his prostate cancer doctor what's up with the therapy. I mean, they told him to do it. So is it working? Is it not working? What can he expect? I mean, what's the deal? This is the last treatment you can get. I thought you told me that it was going to work, so it's not working. So can I get my money back? I mean, what the heck were you telling me? Exactly. He needs to ask hard questions, the same way he would ask hard questions. If he bought a car, a brand new car, paid, $30,000 of hard-earned money for a brand-new car, and then 3 months after he's driving it down the road, the transmission falls out. Well, you got to take that back to the dealership. But when we go to the MDs and they screw up, or their treatments don't deliver, or they bait and switch us, they tell us it's going to do one thing and it does something completely different, we give them a pass.
Exactly.
So I would, and if he's in his 80s, he's been around the block, he can hold his own water here, so I would have him just have a hard conversation with the medical doctors and say, look, what the hell is going on here? I want to know what's going on here, because you told me I had a good chance with this therapy or whatever. Have him record that conversation, send it to me. I'll put it on my website, for goodness sake.
And then you mentioned that you wanted him to do the liquid Glucogel. He said, I do pills better. Can you do the pills if he wants, or is there a reason you're putting him on the liquid Glucogel?
Well, there was a reason, but, compliance is big. So if he doesn't want to do the liquid, then he needs to do 3 bottles of the 240 count.
Got it.
He can do 3 bottles of the 240 count, no problem. And that's going to be 24 Glucogel a day, 8 with breakfast, 8 with lunch, and 8 with dinner. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, keep me in the loop. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate everything that you do. Thank you so much for the phone call. Looks like we're going to Tennessee next. I love this radio show, man. We're all over the country in 15 minutes. We're talking to Tim in Tennessee about a hyperthyroid problem. Thanks for holding, Tim. You are live.
Thank you. My daughter, she's 19 years old and starts having rapid heart rate. And so she went to the doctor, and they found that she had hypothyroidism. And to my dismay, they want to put her on a beta blocker to get her heart rate down, which, it's been running between 100 and 130. And then you answered one of my questions before. They want to give her the radioactive iodine for an uptake. And so you were talking about some other tests you would rather do first. And I was So,
well, look, so here's the deal. So is it a hypothyroid, underactive, or hyper?
I say hypo is hyper. It's overactive.
All right, it's an overactive thyroid, and is that definitive diagnosis, or do they think that it's an overactive thyroid? Now they want to prove it with lab work.
They did the lab work, and her thyroid, I don't know what the test is, but it showed that it was running high.
All right, so why do they want to do a radioactive iodine uptake test?
I have no idea.
Exactly. I'll tell you why, because they're trying to pad the bill. That's why. They're trying to look for something else. Dr. Wallach did an expose on this about 3 months ago. There was an article, I think it was somebody at USA Today, of all places, I think, did this research. And they showed that over the last 10 years, all of the extra added diagnostic stuff that MDs are doing, the only person it benefits is the hospital and the bank account of the hospital. And actually, while they've been adding all these extra diagnostic steps, the treatment outcomes have gotten worse. The treatment outcomes have gotten worse. You know, I mean, for goodness sake, if things are going to continue along this line of thought, 10 years from now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go to a hospital with an illness. Someone at the front door is going to check you in. They're going to scan your insurance card. They're going to put the insurance card into a computer. They're going to stick you into a room with a giant machine. You're going to put your arm in the machine. The machine is going to take blood from your arm, and then it's going to do some computer algorithms, and then it's going to see whether or not you need a CT scan or an X-ray or whatever, and then it's going to wheel you on a conveyor belt to the appropriate diagnostic imaging machine, and then the computer's going to do some more algorithms, and then it's going to wheel you to another room where you're going to do some more diagnostic stuff, and then the computer's going to do some more algorithms, and then it's going to wheel you to the front desk where a machine's going to spit out the drugs that you need. This is how it's going. I mean, this is the ridiculous end of the allopathic reductionistic road. I mean, for goodness sake, enough is enough. Now, you know, look, I'm in favor of figuring everything out so that, you know, we know that there's no cancer in there or whatever, but, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. And when you hear hoofbeats, you think about horses before you think about zebras. So I'm not going to worry about arcane stuff or need to do extracurricular testing. So I would just recommend you tell the doctors to go pound sand, quite frankly, number one.
She did have an ultrasound and came back negative for a tumor. So.
All right, well, that's good. So preceding this event, was there anything stressful or unusual in her life? Like, was she in an automobile accident, or, you know, she's a gymnast and she fell on her neck, or anything like that happen?
No. She was on, is it tetracycline? Is that what the dermatologists give young girls for a little acne problem?
Yes, sir, it is.
And she was on birth control to regulate her menstrual cycles.
You know which one? Was it Yaz?
I have no idea.
Well, that's the first thing you want to check out. So here's what you want to do. You want to find out the specific name of the drugs that she was on. Okay. And you want to do a Google search and look to see whether or not there are known side effects of any of the drugs. Now,
the acne medication, one of the side effects is dizziness, and that's one of the things she was having. So.
Yeah, well, that's different than an overactive thyroid, okay? All right. So if she was on one of the most infamous birth control medicines in the United States is called Yaz, Y-A-Z. It's short for some stupid name. And there are a number of class action lawsuits against the company that made Yaz because women are developing all kinds of side effects as a result of taking the medication. And they're still selling it, even though there are all these class action lawsuits against it. So I would check out specifically the birth control med that she was on, do an internet search, and see if hyperthyroidism is a side effect of the drug. Now, if it is, even if it isn't, well, if it is, get a lawyer, and, you know, and then once you get $2 million as a settlement, call me up, and I'll tell you what kind of car I want you to buy me as a present for turning you on to all this stuff, or what color I want my helicopter painted, okay? And what we're going to do here is support and promote the structure and function of her thyroid gland, because that's just the right thing to do at this point in time. So here's how we're going to do this. Number one, every day you want to have her eat Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, broccoli, eggplant, or spinach. Every day she has to have one of those foods, because those foods depress thyroid function. So while her thyroid is overactive, if she eats eggplant or cauliflower or broccoli, Brussels sprouts, or spinach, it's going to decrease the thyroid function just by eating food. And you need to wonder why your medical doctor didn't tell you that, right? This is a simple strategy to help ease the burden on her heart from the overactive thyroid. With too many thyroid hormones, she could suppress thyroid hormone production with cruciferous vegetables. Imagine that. We're up against a hard break here, Tim. Stick around. I'll dial this in for you when we come back. Ladies and gentlemen, you are the only one that can prevent allopathic reductionism. If you're listening to the podcast, or if you'd like to talk to a live, living, breathing human being about the business opportunity, the health opportunity, or how to get your hands on these hot little supplements at the wholesale price, 855-347-3696. 855-347-3696. And next week I'm going to tell you why Dr. Oz is the most dangerous man in the United States. That's right, Dr. Oz, Mehmet Oz, why he is the most dangerous man in the United States. That's coming up the day after Easter, April Fool's Day, and it's not an April Fool's joke. On April 1st, I'm going to be talking about why Dr. Oz needs to be avoided like the plague. Make sure you tell everybody in your family, everybody in your network, everybody in your life to either listen live or listen for the podcast, because this is a big deal. We're talking to Tim right now. His daughter developed a hyperthyroid condition out of the blue, and he wants to know what to do about it. All right, Tim, are you still with me? Hello, Tim. Are you still there, buddy? Yeah, okay, good. I still got you right. All right, so how much does your daughter weigh, buddy?
Probably about 140 pounds.
Okay. So, all right, so here's what I would have her do for 3 months. In addition to eating those foods every day, she needs to stop eating 10 other foods. There's 10 foods she shouldn't eat. There's 10 foods that you shouldn't eat. There's 10 foods that I shouldn't eat. There's 10 foods that nobody should eat, for goodness sake, and you can get that list for free by logging on to Fire Your MD Now and signing up for the free monthly newsletter. As soon as you sign up for that, you'll be directed to a page where you can download my list of good food, bad food, all right? So she needs to add the cruciferous vegetables every day to her diet, and she needs to remove 10 foods from her diet every day, and then she needs to take some nutritional supplements, the intention of which is to support and promote the structure and function of her thyroid gland specifically. So there's an oil that she should get manufactured by Youngevity. It's an essential oil. It's called myrrh. M like Mary, Y, R-R-H, myrrh. Like, you know, the frankincense and myrrh that the wise men brought, right? Myrrh. Have her put the myrrh oil directly over her thyroid gland 3 times a day. Once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and once in the evening. She just puts a little dab of the oil directly on the skin over the thyroid gland 3 times a day. All right. Now, nutritional supplements that she should take internally per month, here's what I would have her do. One Healthy Start Pack. 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium. 1 Healthy Start Pack, 3 bottles of Ultimate Selenium, and 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals or Cherry Mints. She's a teenager, give her the Cherry Mints. So that's 1 Healthy Start Pack, 3 Ultimate Selenium, and 1 bottle of Cherry Mints. 3 Selenium, 1 Cherry Mints, and 1 Healthy Start Pack. Have her do those supplements every day, plus the myrrh oil, plus the diet. Have her do that for 90 days. I would refuse any further diagnostic testing. I would have her take her pulse rate 3 times a day and write it down, and look to see over time if the condition is resolving. Because with this condition, as with any other, health condition that's a real thing, we want to see it starting to lessen, right? If someone has high blood pressure, we want to see the numbers come down. If someone has high blood sugar, we want to see the numbers come down. If someone is overweight, we want to see the pounds come down. And in her case, if she's hyperactive, she has a hyperthyroid, we want to see her pulse rate come down. Because, of course, the pulse rate reflects the heart rate. And that's the best way to track this particular situation. Now, so that's what I would do for 90 days, and I would tell the MDs to go pound sand with everything else. Does that make sense, Tim?
That then the beta blocker just go ahead and...
Well, again, if it were me, I would not take it. But I can't advise you or anyone else to stop taking a drug that I can't prescribe. I can't prescribe this stuff in Tennessee. But if you were to come and see me in Seattle, where I can prescribe it, I would tell you not to take it, and I certainly wouldn't take it. And again, you want to be checking the heart rate, because it is dangerous. If the heart rate is too high too often, then there's a danger there. So just be Johnny on the spot with the diet and the nutritional supplements for a couple of weeks and see what happens to the heart rate. If it doesn't come down, then you might want to go on the beta blockers for 2, 3, 4 weeks to see if you can't get a leg up. All right? So check it out, Tim. Let me know what happens, and I'll look forward to your return phone call. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Part 2 coming up.